Hello friends, welcome to another episode of I Play Games and Film It, and welcome to Free Thought Fridays for the 8th week. That's 2 months if it is the 8th week. I don't know how many weeks it's been. But yeah, welcome to Free Thought Fridays. This week, now there's a little incident that took place this week, and I saw it happen, when was it now? This took place yesterday. And essentially what happened was a guy, one of our regulars now, I was working behind the bars, and one of our regulars came in. And he was talking about his ex-girlfriend and how apparently she had cheated on him, and they broke up, and he moved away. And then his ex-girlfriend contacted him again, trying to call him back and, you know, say she was sorry and how she was better off with him and da-da-da-da-da. And all this stuff. And he was basically saying how he kind of fell for it, how he got lured back into her clutches, as it were. So they started dating, and he said, "Oh, I told her that I'd get back with her as long as she made the promise that she would never lie to him again, that she'd never cheat again, and so on and so forth." Now, long story short, eventually it turns out she continues to cheat on him with the same guy she cheated on him before, and she just holds on to him basically and keeps him around. He's obviously quite upset about this. Now, I have a response to these sort of events where I just go, if someone's cheated on you once, I know this is harsh, and it might seem a little bit drastic. If someone's cheated on you once, that pretty much means that they are no good. They are absolutely no good. You don't spend any time with them anymore. You don't think about them. You don't talk to them. You don't talk about them. You waste not an extra second dealing with them in your life anymore. Because what they've basically said is that the value of you has lessened so much so that not only would they keep you around while having another emotional relationship and physical relationship with someone else, but they would allow it to actually hurt you emotionally and emotionally certainly. They would basically let that happen, and obviously without much care for your personal well-being. So in that regard, they don't care about you. They don't care about you at all. So you, by you kind of holding on to them, you're basically allowing them to continue hurting you. So you're basically hurting yourself. Anyway, that's how I kind of thought about it. I wanted to offer this information forward, and I wanted to offer maybe perhaps this advice forward. Not as a kind of a love guru or someone who knows all about it, but someone who went through a similar scenario. And after a long time after it happened, I found that this is kind of ultimately how I ended up dealing with it. And so I wanted to offer it forward, and he did kind of semi-listen. He was listening to it, and then this other guy, who kind of listening to the whole conversation, just kind of went, "Look, you know what I did? I remember I had this girlfriend, and she cheated on me, and then the next night I went out with one of my old friends. We had a great night, and then we had sex all night. It was the best sex ever. And the next morning I was cured." His words: "I was cured. I felt so much better. I felt great, and it was like I didn't have to worry about it, didn't think about it, blah blah blah." And this guy was like, yeah, that's what I need to do then. I need to go and get laid. I need to have sex with someone. And I was kind of standing there going, right, okay, that is one cure, if you want to call it that. That's one method of dealing with the scenario. Yeah, sure. And he was saying how he had just recently started talking to another girl and stuff like that. And right now my head's just wanting to explode, because I'm like, so you're basically upset because your girlfriend cheated on you, and yet you're already talking to someone else not long after this relationship seems to have taken place. That doesn't say you really love this girl. It doesn't say to me that you're really bothered about them. You know, like if you're able to kind of pass on so quickly. And it just kind of bothered me a little bit. And then they started sharing stories about how women were unfaithful in general, how easily and how flippant their emotions were, how quickly they could pass on from one man to the next, and how they'd hurt friends of theirs and family members, and women are so bad. And I was just standing there listening to this whole conversation, being like, this is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard. This is really annoying me now, because it's basically the same two-dimensional story we hear from both sexes. It's just dependent on the sexuality and the sex of the storyteller. That's basically it. It's the same thing all the time. And back this up, one of my waitresses then came to the bar overheard a snippet of the conversation and just went, well, I'm done with men anyway. I hate them. After the way they treated me, I'm just going to do whatever I want. I don't really care anymore. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. Oh, this is literally how it's happening, isn't it? And it just became essentially this vicious cycle of people believing that because they were treated bad by one or two, individuals, one or two partners, that was it. It was over. It was over for them in their relationship with the opposite sex. Basically, they just kind of threw caution to the wind and just went, you know what, screw everyone. I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. When really all they need to think is, why have I ended up in this situation with this one person, or maybe two or three people? If it's more than one person, you probably need to check yourself and ask why you end up dating these kind of guys, why you allow this to happen. Because I'll be honest, I have this solid belief, and no matter how difficult and how horrible it might be to comprehend, if you've been cheated on quite a bit, you have to ask yourself what you're doing, really. You do have to ask yourself that. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's just because they are horrible people, they are cheaters, and that's what they do, and they can't seem to hold down one relationship, blah, blah, blah. That happens, these people exist, unfortunately. But if it consistently happens, I think it is possibly a scenario in which the people that you partner up with probably aren't getting what they thought they would get out of you. And okay, it still doesn't mean it justifies their actions, but nonetheless, that's the action they take. That's what happens eventually. So when people kind of take this almost hilarious, I want to say, emotional backlash towards it, I just kind of get a bit sad inside, because then I think, okay, so then you're just going to sleep around and do whatever you want and feel like you're free and happy being a slut. And then the people that you sleep with across the line, some of them might then kind of end up having the experience you've had, where they think that they found someone they care about, found someone they love, and so on. But it turns out you're just having sex because you got screwed over, and then all of a sudden you're screwing over someone else, and it turns into this vicious cycle now. You know what I mean? It just turns into this vicious kind of melting pot of everyone just fucking each other and being miserable about it, because they feel like they deserve better. I found that I just wanted to stop everyone. Just go, look, everyone just shut up for a second, okay? You know what? It sucks that we get cheated on. It sucks that every now and then we kind of... Every now and then we have a bad time in a relationship. We feel like we've been hard done by. We feel like we have been cheated. We feel like we've been treated poorly. That happens, but that's a learning step in the big world of relationships. That is a stepping stone towards you finding the best relationship you can. Because if you honestly have no idea what it's like to be cheated on, then I do envy you. I definitely envy you, because you're completely free of how it feels to be like second best to someone in the world, in the eyes of someone you absolutely love. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. But it is a stepping stone. It should be taken as a learning curve almost in relationships, not as a complete downtroddening of yourself, not as a complete destruction of your own ego or your own self-esteem. Because shit happens, man. Shit's gonna happen at some point. And I think everyone just needs to take it on the chin and not act as though, they kind of just completely victimised. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I did go through a very short phase afterwards where it happened, and I did kind of do this whole single thing. But actually, the reason I came out of it the way that I did was because I did do all of that. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep around. Yeah, I'm gonna be a man whore, and it did nothing for me. I think even in the time where I misbehaved and I did a lot of things I probably shouldn't have done, I don't remember doing anything that I didn't regret, or certainly anything that didn't that helped towards me kind of feeling better about myself or anything. If anything, everything I did just made me feel worse about myself, because it wasn't me. It wasn't what I did. I'm not one who does one night stands, sleeping around. It's never something that I've ever wanted to be or something I've wanted to do. Honestly, so for that to come out of me, it was just a bit horrible. And I felt worse. I just felt shit about myself. So I was like, you've actually changed your own ethos towards relationship, towards love, towards sex, towards everything, because you believe that's kind of how you get better. And it didn't make me feel better at all. I just the only thing I did well was I started running a lot. That was kind of it. But no, it was just shitty, to be honest. And it was only until I started to kind of look at myself and go, do you know what? It's good that this happened, because I can now, perhaps what people might say, be a bit more picky, be a bit more high maintenance. But no, I can spend a bit more time thinking about what I would like out of a relationship, what I would like out of a woman, what I would like out of a partner, out of a partnership, and what I would expect. Now, that's not to say it would be like a yes or no, does she tick the box, yes or no, therefore she's not good enough kind of thing. But at the same time, it is kind of a sense of, I basically was with a woman for a very long time, who then decided that I just wasn't good enough. And I just feel like that time now has been wasted, because there were so many things that I could have kind of spent, so much time, I could have spent doing other things, instead of investing my emotions and my time into that person, my efforts into that relationship. And obviously hindsight is a cruel vixen, but it's it's just one of the things you learn from, and you kind of go, right, well, then next time I won't let this happen. So yeah, I guess from the events that took place at the bar with this guy and the girl and all this kind of stuff, I just kind of wish that we wouldn't victimize ourselves so too quickly, or perhaps if we did, again, minimize it so that we could use it to kind of build ourselves, to find better relationships, to find the relationships that we want, to find the partners that we want, to not kind of have such low standards of ourselves and of others, so that we just end up with someone, because our greater fear is just ending up alone. We'd rather be with someone that makes us mildly happy, or at least satisfied, than be with somebody who actually makes us really happy, than be alone, because apparently being alone is like the worst thing that can happen. Being alone with yourself is the worst thing that could happen, because apparently you can't even stand yourself. So yeah, basically that's it. I have a feeling I might have confused a few things here. I certainly know I might have contradicted myself a little bit earlier on, when I mentioned the fact that this guy, I mentioned minimizing obviously the time you thought and spent about your ex if they cheat on you and so on and so forth, and then I kind of got a little bit frustrated when this guy moved on really quickly, which kind of seems like that would be what you would do. The only issue I have with that is the speed at which you move on to someone. It's the rebound thing, essentially, and that necessarily doesn't mean you've moved on. I think what it means is you've attached yourself to, you're like almost like a parasite, where where you still desire and want the same things emotionally that you had in your relationship, but you don't really care who it comes from. So you latch on to the first thing that comes about that seems adequate enough for you, make them believe that obviously you want them for who they are and stuff, and then continue to leech off them until eventually you're satisfied and you're done and you don't need to be in a relationship anymore. That's why I don't believe in moving on completely, because your mind and your heart and your soul still needs that closeness that it had. It can't just shut it off immediately. So what does it do? It goes to the first nearest thing, traditionally, that could give it that. And latches on and goes, right, I've still got this comfort, this safety, this emotional security, I'm going to stick with that. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, because you're basically still, in your mind, trapped in a relationship that ended already, except you're just continuing it on under false pretenses with someone else, which is just horrible in itself. That's just not nice. So that's why I don't agree with that either. I thought I'd clear that out, because obviously I realised when I said it, I was like, oh, that sounds like I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I'm not. So yeah, that is it, guys. That's it. Comments on anything I said, and any disagreements? I don't know if there's anything I said. If you disagree, then let me know. I mean, I'm sure some people will disagree. Some people will probably think that they do need to do these things. They need to go through a path of self-destruction and almost self-harm to kind of make themselves feel so bad that they can build themselves back up again, only stronger. Kind of like when you break bones and they come back stronger. It's like that, which makes sense as well. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, comment, click the thumb button, share with a friend if you like, and I'll see you in another episode of I Play Games and Film It. Until then, you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Woo! I'm not going to have a good weekend, because I think I've got about 24 hours of work to do in 2 days. So that's going to be fun. Maybe more. Who knows? Maybe 30. Ooh, yay. But yeah, you guys take care. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
to shine.